Coming to you from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. It is time for the special, not exactly 100th edition of Watch Me Suck at Bowling. Welcome to a special, not exactly 100th episode edition of Watch Me Suck at Bowling. We are once again coming from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Now, why Leda Lanes? If you remember, for the 1-year anniversary special, I asked you, the audience, where you'd like me to bowl. Very few places got votes. A couple places had one or two, like Mason's or New Palace, but 2 places ran away with it. It was here, Leda Lanes and the Brunswick Zone. Neck and neck horse race through the whole thing. And ultimately, Leda Lanes lost by 1 measly vote. Those 2 places, this and the Brunswick Zone in Lowell, ran away with it. This is why it was important to vote if you didn't, and you wanted to see me bowl here or somewhere else. So, to make up for all of you that really wanted to see me come back here, and the fact that we've come to a point where when I leave work, I'm pretty much out of places to go that I can reach at a reasonable time, and there's a car. We're here at Leda Lanes, and we're going to be here for the month of August as well. So, the first week of August, this triple special, and then the rest of the 4 weeks, regular 1-week stints. So, let's go in and start everything up. There's one thing that definitely wasn't noticed when I was here last time, because it wasn't evident until today, is they do have a sound system, and they were using it. So there's going to be a lot of edited video. I had a whole way of presenting this whole special series, and that went to hell in a handbasket. But, of course, I have other ways of going about it. To move these triples along, we are going to do like we do in the impromptus, is that we are going to display the score at the halftime moments and not every 2 frames per usual. Since we've been here before and we don't need to do grand tours and what have not, let's just get right to the monthly preview of what the current high scores are. In Candlepins, things haven't changed at all. 136 high is still a thing, came close to it a few times, but never beat it. And 44 was a low shot at Mason's on a live event. However, one thing has changed. My triple has gone up to a 305 about a month ago. In the land of duck pins, everything's still the same almost. The 118 high is still there. And a month ago, we got a brand new low score. It only went down 1 point to 64. And the 10 pin. Nothing spectacular here. An average ability score of 150, which for me, I'm pretty proud of that. And then the miserable failed attempt at two-handed bowling. Well, that explains the 26 quite well, doesn't it? And yes, that is a real number. And those are the current high scores as of this recording. And we are bowling on lane 30, which is exactly the same lane as before. 33 and 34 was where Candlepin Stars and Strikes was shot. In fact, there's Channel 50's lights right there on the ceiling still. And of course we have automatic scoring, and we know how much I love that. So now, just to see if things have changed, let's just take a brief sampling of the house balls. Still random, still in fairly similar condition as they were before, not all that bad. But of course, we use the Epco urethane balls, the only thing professional about the bowling on this show. And now it's time for those famous words you've been waiting for. It's now time to watch me suck at bowling. Game 1, frame 1, ball 1. How will this triple go? How will the start go? Let's find out. Hopefully it'll be good. 2. Once again, it's another one of those classic boy do we suck starts. And we have left the 4 horsemen on the right, and that's me trying to figure out where I'm cutting off pin cam. Ball 3. Then as he turns around and looks up at the scoreboard, he realizes something. Something ain't right. And there's a reason why I threw the ball like that. Forgot to hit the reset button. That didn't count. For real now. Game 1, frame 1, ball 1. I always forget to hit that reset button to start the damn thing. The only good thing about it is we can probably get off to a much better start. So far, so good. Ball 2. The only negative about the better start is the split. Ball 3. Who knows at this point? It still might be a better start than what could have been. Not a bad start. We got an 8. And for those of you who like pin setters, here's the Bowlmore in action. Sweeping away the 1, then sweeping away the 7, and here comes the table with a new set of pins. And there you go. Frame 2, ball 1. While 8 isn't really that bad of a start for me, we gotta do better than that if we're gonna break 305. Nothing says, let's do better than last time, like getting a half Worcester on the left. Ball 2, halfway to Worcester. If there's a positive note to this, the ball didn't go in the gutter, so it's 2 points we didn't have. Now arriving at Union Station. This is our last stop. Ball 3. This is a crap frame. If you can get a 6 after a full Worcester, that's not all too bad, believe it or not. Frame 3, ball 1, a 6 from a full Worcester. Alright. All I can do is put that disaster behind me and just keep on going. Ball 2. There is some helpful with, this is really hard to do. What you're seeing, I'm pointing right at the lane. I'm pointing about 20 feet away from lane 36 in reality. Worst case scenario here is a 6, and I think the wood will definitely help make that go up. We got ourselves the first mark of the series. Hopefully more to come. Frame 4, ball 1, L stink on the bonus ball. What will it be? Will it stink like it usually does? Or will it be good? Or somewhere in the middle? 5 ain't too bad. Ball 2. Another tough split, the 7 all by itself and a cluster of 4 on the right with wood that probably won't help. Ball 3. At the last minute, that piece of wood up against the 1 decided to go up against the 7. Not much help. The bowling god's middle finger remains for 9. Frame 5, ball 1. Ouch. Ball 2. Didn't need that to happen. Definitely need to hit the head pin to make something happen. Ball 3, first stink frame. Let's hope not. This game's been going not all that badly. Don't need that to happen. No good. Too much of a lob. It is a stink frame of 3. If it just were not a lob. It was going so well, and then frame 5 happened with that 3 stink frame. We got the spare and 3 and a 5 fill from the 4, giving us a 9. So far, not so bad, 41. Frame 6, ball 1. Minor lobs, okay. That one, no. Still, not a bad midpoint. We just don't need to lob the ball like that anymore. And that doesn't happen as often as it used to. That figures. Ball 2. That's a very tough one to make. You gotta hit that 2 pin. And that's the only way to do it. Ball 3. At this point, the safest thing to do is go for the 2 pins that have the wood next to it. Better chance of scoring. Didn't need the wood to make it happen. There's an 8. Frame 7, ball 1. After that rough 3 frame, it's nice to know that an 8 helped in the recovery, even though it was a slow start. Hitting one of the 2 easiest pins to hit. Ball 2. I don't know why the pros say that the 7 and 10 pins are the hardest to hit. They're the easiest. It's the head pin that's hard. Nice. Ball 3. The chain reaction was very good, but it left a narrow leave, and we know how that usually ends up. That was painfully close. 7. Frame 8, ball 1. Fitting to get a 7 on frame 7, but we need to do better than that if we're going to keep this game a good one. Ball 2. Ball 3. Doesn't that look familiar? Except this time, it's the 8 pin standing instead of the 5. And then ends in a familiar fashion, the 7. Frame 9, ball 1. 7 away from the mediocre 70s. Or 17 away from a good game, which is hitting the 80 mark. Ball 2, 10 away from good, which is 80s. That split definitely won't help, but if we can get the 1 and 3, maybe we can hit the 7. Almost a mark. Still not a bad shot. Ball 3 for the 10. There's a piece of wood in front of the 7 pin that makes the target a little wider, but can we hit it? If I capped that piece of wood, it probably would have worked. It's a 9. Frame 10, ball 1, proving I haven't improved. In actuality, something has improved, but we'll get to that later on in the show. Ball 2. Ball 3, that many for good. Will we get at least the 1 pin? Or is it going to be the typical 1 away scenario? We got the one we needed, 8. And we just got the 80 that we were looking for at the least. Couple of 7s and 7 and 8 didn't help, but at least there weren't any stink frames. Before Game 2 starts, we've got a trivia question for you. How well do you know Watch Me Suck at Bowling? Watch Me Suck at Bowling has either been welcomed or has been invited to bowling alleys to shoot the show. One bowling alley was not happy that the show was being recorded at their location. Do you know which alley was not happy to be part of the show? The answer is Lanes and Games in Cambridge, Massachusetts. They were not very nice at all. In fact, they're closing soon, so being that they were rude, I called them out for juicing the candlepin lanes. That is your trivia question for the show. And speaking of the show, it's time to start game number 2.
Game 2, frame 1, ball 1.
We're going to need a couple of 110 plus games to break the triple, so I think that's not going to happen.
Ball 2.
Not exactly the best way to start. On the other hand, easy spare. Oh, that's a bit ugly.
Ball 3.
A lot of real estate to get at least something. Hopefully we hit the middle. It looks like we start off the same way we did in the previous game, with an 8.
Frame 2, ball 1.
The question is now, can we pull ahead of the first game? Not with shots like that, we won't.
Ball 2.
Once again, just a corner of the building. Still, possible spare. Welcome to Masons! Oh, wait a minute.
Ball 3, quarter Worcester. Is this another stinker?
Quarter Worcesters take out very important things that make magic happen. Let's see what we can do anyway. And it's a 6. Still tied with the previous game.
Frame 3, ball 1.
As I said before, will we do better in this game? So far, the answer is no.
Ball 2.
Just a crappy leave after crappy leave after crappy leave.
Ball 3.
Worst case, it's at least a 7. Of course, we want more than that. And an 8. We're doing worse than the last game, but we had a mark at this point in the first one.
Frame 4, ball 1, so far the worst game.
Outside of that 6 frame, it actually isn't all that bad of a game.
Ball 2.
Things would go better if we could just find that very elusive head pin. Found the other very easy pin.
Ball 3, another stinker possible?
Let's hope not. A stinker is something we definitely don't need right now. A not so great 5.
Frame 5, ball 1. Will this even be a good game? Or mediocre at least?
So far, it isn't really looking all that good. We really need to knock down a lot more than pins. And the crap keeps on coming.
Ball 2.
Spread eagle with a clipped wing. I've only converted a spread eagle twice.
Ball 3, time to end this sour half.
Indeed, this half was pretty much garbage, outside of the 8 in the very beginning. And a 7. Wow, what a weak half that is. Outside of the 8s in the 1 and 3, it's been pretty bad. At least no stink frames. We are at 34, and it is salvageable.
Frame 6, ball 1. I think it's safe to say the triple's going to stay intact.
It may stay intact, but that doesn't mean a good game couldn't possibly come out of this. Them pins just ain't going down today.
ball 2.
There's about 1 foot of lane area that could really help things out.
Ball 3.
Once again relying on that third ball to try and salvage things. Great shot, still no luck. 7.
Frame 7, ball 1. I'm wondering how I got that 99 when I was first here.
It does make you wonder, because the lane plays exactly the same now as it did back then. I just did a lot better then.
Ball 2.
At least we got 7, and we have some wood that could possibly help us get something if we're a little off. It helps if we aim the ball where the pins are.
Ball 3.
With the extra wood sticking out of the left of the formation, should be able to get something. How fitting, the bowling god's middle finger being what's left. Nonetheless, it's a 9.
Frame 8, ball 1. 20 away from mediocrity.
It looks like this game could be the low water mark. But you never know. Let's see what happens. That could help.
Frame 9, 2 El Stinko the bonus balls. Possible redemption.
This could be the turning point from mediocrity to a good game. They just need to add up. So close to 2 in a row. Oh, so close. It's only happened once.
El Stinko 2, even if it misses, good fill.
Piece of wood on the 6 makes the target slightly wider, as long as we don't end cap it. Or throw the ball in the completely wrong direction.
Ball 3, good as possible.
This game surely was looking really bad. But that strike and that 9 fill sure helped. The 9 and the 9 fill is all we're getting. It's still a big help.
Frame 10, ball 1. This away from good. Who knew this was going to be the better of the 2?
The question is, will this be a strong finish or will things fall apart like they normally do? And a couple of very wobbly pins. At least a couple other very wobbly ones did fall.
Ball 2, the possibilities. How will I miss it?
The bad thing of all those pins falling left a very ugly mess.
Ball 3, can't complain about this one, especially with the rough start.
A game that started out horribly bad is now pretty decent, even if we get nothing at this point. Once again, leaving the bowling god's middle finger alone for 9. Weak start and a very strong finish, especially in frame 8 with the strike, and then another pair of 9s, a 9 and 10, which also helps with the fill, and 87. As mentioned earlier, something has improved over the long run of this entire series. Take a look.
35-year curse broken. And I haven't bowled in over 30 years. And we start with a wonderful gutter ball. Awesome. And we start with a wonderful gutter ball. Awesome. Nice pin. Nice pin.
Down. Find out. 9. And very well. It ended well that time for a 9. Perhaps watching two videos side by side and the fact that aligning them is very difficult, perhaps it was difficult to see what I was going for. So what if we put the very first hands-free video up against one of the latest? For our amusement, how about the first versus the most recent?
And we start with a wonderful gutter ball. Awesome. Game 3 of the triple, frame 1, ball 1.
As you saw, the one thing that definitely has improved is how fast the ball goes down the lane.
Ball 2.
Currently, I can now even throw a ball faster. It's now up to a whopping 27 miles per hour.
Ball 3.
A narrow leaf and the 7-pin. How much more could you possibly want? Just like the other two games, we start with an 8.
Frame 2, ball 1.
Being games 1 and 2 started with an 8, can this game start out better? Let's find out. Talk about the domino effect. What a lot of action that was.
Ball 2. At least that doesn't happen at Mason's.
Could be an easy spare, just need to hit the wood that's in front of the 10-pin.
Ball 3.
This is the best start of the 3 games so far, with another 9.
Frame 3, ball 1.
This game has a nice solid start. Let's see if we can keep it up and have a nice solid finish.
Ball 2. The wood pile right there. Hit it just in that notch.
Should be a fairly easy spare, in spite of it being the 7 and 8. That was the reconnaissance ball.
Ball 3, just a wee bit too left.
This will be the real ball that will knock those 2 pins down. And there you go. Once again, wishing that was ball 2. 10.
Frame 4, ball 1.
Now, if we could just get a mark, not only will this good game be good, it could possibly be in the 90s. That does not help.
Ball 2, going for the Emily.
The Emily spare is very difficult to get. It's just as difficult as getting a strike.
Ball 3.
Leaving 3 of the 4 horsemen still standing, can we get the 10 box? If balls 2 and 3 were 1 and 2. 10.
Frame 5, ball 1.
If we can get 3 10s in a row, that is a microwave turkey dinner. And there we go. We knew one of those had to appear at some point.
Ball 2, working the Steve Bronchuk special.
I have converted these twice. Ever. Doubt this will be number 3. Then that happened.
Ball 3, oh how quickly the game falls apart.
Very slim odds, but could pick off the 3 pin on the right and could do it. Mirrored deja vu. 6. Outside of the 6 box in frame 5, pretty strong. Pair of 10s, a 9 and an 8, 43.
Frame 6, ball 1, still good.
This is the strongest game so far, at least in terms of the halfway point.
Ball 2.
If the pin deck were rotated another 135 degrees or so, I'd be getting strikes all day.
Ball 3. Stink frame or one of the ultimate stink frames?
We definitely don't need a stink frame in this game, let alone a 1. No way. Nice out for the 8.
Frame 7, ball 1. Pulled that one out somehow.
Let's hope that doesn't happen again. Also, let's hope that we actually get a mark. Could use one of those. Wow, talking about getting robbed. Well, there goes one. And now we are left with the 5 and dime. Piece of wood in the middle, though.
Ball 2, the Woolworth with a piece of wood that can definitely help if I can hit that narrow spot.
Hit the 5 while capping the wood on the right, and we got ourselves a spare.
Ball 3, at least it's 9.
As well as the fact that it's the kingpin and not the bowling god's middle finger. Close, but still a 9.
Frame 8, ball 1, 20 from good.
It looks like that all 3 games are going to be at least an 80. That's pretty good. Well, there's some wood at least. Unfortunately, it's the 5, 7, 10, aka the Lily. And there goes that piece.
Ball 2, Lily, with helpful wood.
Worst case, we got a 7 box. Just gotta aim at the V in the wood pile, and we should be good.
Ball 3, after losing my balance, couldn't have been a spare.
The bowling gods are not that nice. Kind of delusional, wasn't I? No good. That's a 9.
Frame 9, ball 1, 11 from good.
Still looks like all 3 games will be in the 80s, but you never know. We've thrown some stinkers. We've thrown some good ones.
Ball 2.
This one's a bit fancy. Easiest points is hit the head pin on the left and the wood will take out the 7. Another 1/4 inch to the right, we probably could have got the spare.
Ball 3.
In that scenario, it was actually best to go for the 9 and hope for the best that a spare could have happened. Didn't matter. And 9 it will be. It was a smart move to try and not get the spare.
Last frame, last game of the first week, ball 1. The rest of the weeks will be normal singles.
We just need a stink frame of 2 to make it into the good territory of the 80s.
Ball 2. At least all the games are in the 80s.
One more point will tie the game that we had previously, and without marks. Well, almost a mark.
Last ball of the triple. That's it.
Could this be the highest scoring game in the triple? Even though it's only by 1 point, could it still be the highest one? Oh, so close! It's a 9. Of the 3 games, I consider this one by far the most impressive, even though it ties number 2. And that's an 87. Because even the pros will tell you, if you can get near 90 without a single mark, you actually did pretty good. And that's this episode of Watch Me Suck at Bowling. Georgia551 saying hope you enjoyed and have a good one.